Good evening, Bulavinaka and Namaste. I'm Vijay Narayan. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. Tonight we have the Supervisor of Elections, Anna Mataiciwa, as our guest, and we will be talking about elections, of course. Firstly, about municipal council elections coming back after 21 years. The last one, I remember covering that back in 2005. It's been a long time, and a lot of people have definitely not gone through the municipal elections as far as coverage is concerned, as far as voting is concerned, and of course as far as systems are concerned. And some systems have been changed. It is not the same as the general elections. You'll find out tonight what are the similarities and what are the differences. First of all, Supervisor, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to come on the show.
Thank you, Vijay, for having me.
Now, after 21 years, we're having the municipal council elections again, and the laws are all set. But for those who have never voted in the municipal elections, what does this actually mean for democracy at the municipal council level?
In terms of the local government elections, rightfully said, we are having this after 21 years. So most of our Fijians aren't aware of the importance of local government elections. Now, if we look at local government elections, this is an opportunity for our Fijians to have their voice heard at the local government level, because they will be choosing those that they want to represent them in the council within their wards. And it is really important for them to be encouraged to come in to vote, because these councillors, they are the ones that are not only their voice during the council meetings, but they are the ones that will be in charge of certain things that happen in our communities. We are looking at providing clean, safe and livable communities, managing urban development and land use, regulate business and trading, and as well as represent the priorities of the community.
Just remember, after the 2005 local government elections or municipal council elections, this was discontinued. The local government elected councillors did not exist after 2009. The then Borenge Bainimarama-led interim government removed the process and then just appointed administrators. And we've had that system continue until now, until this year, and then finally we'll have elected councillors. Now, from the FEO's perspective, the Fijian Elections Officer's perspective, what have been the obstacles from when the last local government elections were held? You were not there in 2005. And what finally you've managed to do in 2006 after the systems have been in place, and as far as you are concerned, because you have to ensure you deliver the elections, what were some of the main obstacles you had to overcome to ensure that you are ready this year?
When we look at the Fijian Elections Office, we are legally mandated to conduct elections. So apart from the election of the members of parliament, the election of municipal or local, and trade unions. But then we needed the legal framework. So people might be wondering, okay, they went silent and then all of a sudden they're talking about elections. It's because for us to come out and inform our Fijians, we need a legal framework to enable us to talk about local government elections. So the regulation for the local government elections came out on December of 2025. So when we received that, the other two issues that we needed confirmation on before talking of local government elections is the number of councillors and the number of wards, because this will then enable us to logistically plan how many candidates are we looking for these local government elections and which areas are we going to be conducting it. So once we receive all those information, the number of councillors, the number of wards, and of course the legal framework. We were then ready to come out and say we are preparing now to conduct elections, and this is also after we received confirmation from the Ministry of Local Government that we are conducting elections in September.
This is a significant logistical operation. You are seeing the election of 141 total councillors across 40 wards and within 13 municipalities. If you can give more details, knowing that the 13 municipalities all across the country, so it's a national exercise, but then you have different wards. Some municipalities have more than one ward depending on the population, and then the 141, the number of councillors also differing based on the size of the area. If you can give more details on that.
In terms of the logistical exercise to conduct the local government elections, yes, we are doing it for the 13 municipalities. So this is the 2 cities and of course the towns as well, 11 towns. And in terms of the wards, we are looking at 40 wards. These wards, they differ in the various municipalities, and if we look at the 141 councillors, it fluctuates depending on the population for each of the wards within the municipalities. And I say that this is a biggest logistical exercise. It's because we are basically repeating 40 times the electoral processes in those 40 wards on one of the Saturdays of September. Not only that, we are also looking at 141 candidates, and so when we look at wards, there will be different candidates for different wards, which means the ballot papers for the 40 wards would be different. And then it just then shows how all these important aspects needs to be considered when we are planning for the local government elections. Remember, for these local government elections, we are looking at the Fijians voting within their ward, that is within the municipality.
Let's talk about like the Suva municipality. Just give an example on how many wards and what would be those wards.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. In terms of if we look at Central Division and then we zoom into Suva. Now for Suva, we are looking at 4 wards, and that is Suva, Samambula, Monikau, and Tamavua. So if we look at these 4 wards, the number of councillors, they differ. For instance, in Tamavua, those that are voting from Tamavua, they will be looking at 11 candidates to choose from. Those in Monica, we look at 5. This is information that is available on our website. We are also pushing it out on a Facebook page. And if our Fijians are interested, if they are even within a ward, when you go to our FEO website, there is a tab there that has elections, and under it is local government, and then you have the ward. So once they click onto it, they have the 13 map books that are already there. So you just, if you're in Suva, pick the Suva municipality, type in your street name or informal settlement or the village, and then it'll tell you which ward you belong to. So this information is available on our website. Please feel free to just visit it and be informed more of it.
We spoke a bit earlier in relation to this in the municipal councils. Of course, they're responsible for a range of services, garbage collection, town planning, even in terms of what kind of projects are approved within the boundaries. Road maintenance was under the councils before, but now some people do not know whether it's under FRA or the council. street lights, how does that come into effect now based on how it was before? Because we've had a lot of changes since 2005. The other one is beautification. When you walk through some of the towns or cities, you see the state of the lack of beautification, even our buildings and other things, like we have stopped looking after our properties. Many residents don't realize what their town council actually should control. Why should an ordinary person who's watching this tonight, living in those municipal areas, actually care about who sits on the council?
They should really care of those that are sitting in the council, because this is the place where their voice will be heard in terms of bringing issues from their neighborhood. The councillors, they represent the community, so they will act as the voice for the residents. They bring local concerns and the priorities of the neighborhood into the council meeting. They develop approved policies and bylaws that guides how services are delivered. And of course, overseeing municipal services, like you rightfully said, the waste collection, the drainage, road maintenance, public parks. These are things that we take for granted at some point in time, but they are right there in our neighborhood. And sometimes it becomes an eyesore for us when we go past, and then we wonder, how do we get to beautify our community? So this is the place where you can raise your concerns. And on this note, Vijay, I would just like to encourage our Fijians that are listening in, if you haven't seen the copy of this, and I'm sure you haven't too, Vijay, it's a civic education handbook, local government elections. So this was basically published by our Ministry of Local Government, and it has been disseminated to the councils. So our Fijians can actually get a copy from the council and just read through, so that they can be empowered on why they should be voting on the local government elections.
And definitely there'll be a higher level of accountability when people know that they will be elected councillors rather than just appointed, that they need to earn their place in further future elections to come back to sit on those councils. Now, our villages, I know there's some changes there, villages and informal settlements, are they included in these local government elections?
Yes, they are included in the local government election. In fact, we are looking at 53 villages. I know last time we met, I said there was 48, but it has increased to 53, and this is the confirmed number of villages that we will be conducting elections for. Now, people might be wondering again, who are these villages? Why are they part of this election? So when you look at the municipality book map that we have on our website, it basically has the boundaries of the council, and some of these villages are within those boundaries. So they have been given an opportunity to also partake in the local government election.
And informal settlements
as well as informal settlements. So the listing also includes the informal settlements, the streets, and the villages.
Will they be paying rates?
In terms of rate, now they will be paying a municipal service fee. And this is captured in the handbook that they have disseminated, the Ministry of Local Government. So it talks about how in terms of our villages, they won't be paying any rates, but certain charges like service fee will be
definitely it comes at a cost to provide the service. Yes. So everyone who's voting or in that boundary should pay the fee as well for that service. You have said that 2026 will be a very exciting year for Fiji, with multiple electoral events planned, including the general election window also opening up from August. How does the FAO manage running two major elections in the same year without one compromising the other?
Yes, that is a very good word that you use, the compromise. We should never compromise. So in terms of the electoral events, we have two confirmed. that is the general election. So for Fijians that are listening in, for general elections, the possible read date is 24th of June 2026. If it's issued on the 24th of June 2026, then the possible election date would be on the 7th of August 2026. But if it is issued on the last possible read date, which is the 24th of December 2026, then 6th of February 2027 is the election date. So election dates between 7th of August 2026 to 6th of February 2027. And now we keep on emphasizing on the possible read dates, because for the general election, a lot of things happen when writ is issued. National registration of vote closes, the party registration closes, nomination opens. That is for general election. For local government election, it's any of the Saturdays in September 2026. Now, logistical activities, 2023, we concentrated on building bridges back with our stakeholders. That was something that we lacked. 2024 to 2025, it was more on empowering. And for 2026, we are now coming out to our Fijians. And if you look at what we've been doing so far, which is captured on our FEO website and Facebook page and other social media platforms, we've been doing, one of the key ones is the election official recruitment. So it's currently happening now, Vijay. We opened it last week. Then it will continue on till the 9th of May. So for this election official recruitment, it's for all election officials, so Fijians that are interested to work as election officials on the general election and on the local government election, feel free to come in and be recruited by our FEO family. Apart from the recruitment, we're doing a training of trainers for field trainers. Around 64 we've trained last week across the nation. This will be the field trainers that will be training our election officials. Then we also have our polling venue assessment for our general election and local government election. So a lot of things is happening behind the scene, but for the next quarter and the upcoming quarter, we're just focusing on awareness to get our voters to come in and cast their ballot.
Hypothetically speaking, and based on the dates you've given, it could happen. What if we have general elections in August, and then we've got municipal elections that will definitely be in September? Are you logistically ready for that?
We are, Vijay. We are logistically ready, and like I said, we've always been talking about the possible election dates, and if so happen it happens earlier than the municipal election, we are just now in the phase of making sure that our Fijians don't get overloaded. So for our Fijians that are listening in, anything to do with local government elections, it's the color green. And Leo, our mascot, the local electoral officer, will be the one disseminating information. And blue is for the general election. So hopefully with the color coding, we are able to at least have a Fijian understand the different electoral processes for different general election and local government.
Now let's go to procedure for registration to vote in a municipal council election or local government election. People needing to register even after they're registered in the National Voters Register. Many people, even over the weekend, have been talking to me about why do they have to register. Many are asking why they have to re-register. They have already registered, their names are on the National Register of Voters. Why can't the elections office use that? Definitely that can have a negative effect if people have that viewpoint. And traditionally before we've had low voter turnout in local government elections. What's your message to that in relation to people asking why you want them to register again?
Yes, this comes back to the legal framework that I spoke of, but it also comes back to our Fijians having that transformational mindset. Most of the time when we talk about processes, we always identify the weakness first, but we fail to talk about the benefit of participating in that process. So for local government election, the legal requirement for voter registration is different compared to the general election. For local government, they have to be registered in the National Register of Voters, and then they have to be living within that ward for 3 months at least. And then we also have the voluntary system. Local government, it's not compulsory, it's voluntary. And thirdly, we do understand that our Fijians, when they gave us their data, when you came in and registered, you gave it on the understanding that it will be used for the general election. Now we are the custodian of that data. It doesn't give us the right to say, okay, local government elections is coming. Administratively, it would have been convenient for us because we could have just synced the NRV, National Register of Voters, into the local Register of Voters. But then again, local government election is voluntary. We could be putting people on the local government register and they don't want to participate. So technically, we are like indirectly putting people in out of duress. And so the legal framework is something that we need to emphasize here. And we also encourage our Fijians to come in and participate. First, you get registered. We've opened up our voter service centers in the different municipalities. The addresses are on our Facebook page. And not only register, but come in also on polling day to vote, because that will be the important aspect as well.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I am Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Supervisor of Elections, Anna Mataiciwa. We were talking about why we need to register again. To register in the local government elections, people must be registered. One of the requirements is on the National Register of Voters and have resided within the ward for at least 3 months. Now, let's just because some people move from place to place. What does resided within a ward actually mean in practice? Does it mean where you sleep, where you pay rent, where you work?
When we look at residing in that ward, it's basically the preferred residential address of our Fijians, where they habitually stay. Okay, then the next question there would be, well, some of us, we stay 3 days here in Suva, and then we have to look at our businesses or so forth in the Western Division. So we spend another 3 days there. And both of it could be our preferred place of residence. So how would you then say, where should I go? So in those kind of situation, we put it back to the voter. Where would they prefer to go and vote? So the first question there is, what is your preferred habitual place of resident? And if they say, okay, Suva, and so be it, you're in the Suva municipality. If it's in Lautoka, then so be it in the Lautoka municipality. But it's important to note that you have to be habitually residing in that place within that ward for at least 3 months.
So if, for example, someone, because of work purposes, is working on an island resort,
Yes.
About 11 days on the island, and then comes home to maybe in Suva for 3-4 days and back on the island, are they eligible to be saying that I'm part of the Suva, one of the wards in Suva?
Yes, in terms of those sort of situation, which is quite often so for our Fijians, because we like to move around due to some circumstances, our employment, our family matters. For us at the Fijian Elections Office, in order for us to capture you so that it's accessible for you to go and vote in any of the Saturdays of September, it'll come back to the voter. Where is your preferred place?
As long as it's verifiable.
Yes.
Now let's talk about documents that you need to register. Things will be made easier if people just come with their voter card from the general elections if they have registered already. Would that be
Yes.
a necessary ID that will make things easier?
Because one of the requirements is for our Fijians to be registered in the National Register of Voters, and the other one is the residency. So we urge our Fijians to come in with their voter card. In situations where they have misplaced their voter card, they have lost it, still do feel free to come in, because our team will have access to the National Register of Voters, and they will do their verification process first. So say for instance, if you walk in Vijay and you say, oh, I don't have a voter card, the verification process will first check whether you are registered, so it's convenient, it's right there. And if so, then you get to be registered if you're within the municipality boundary.
Now, what happens if they are not registered on the National Register of Voters? What other types of documents do they need to come with?
So if they are first-time voters, they have to bring in their copy or the original birth certificate, as well as any valid photo ID. So that could be your driver's license, your joint card, your student ID, as long as it's a valid, or even a social welfare ID, as long as it is a valid photo ID.
What happens to those who are living in like peri-urban areas or are not captured with this? They do not have any of such IDs. Is there any requirement that you have also made for them to make things easier?
For our local government eligible Fijians, most of them have access to the other institutions that provide this ID, but then it comes back to that word that you mentioned earlier on, the compromise. We do not want to compromise the local register of voters, because once we open it up for anyone to walk in without any form of ID, then we can be capturing duplicates, impersonators. And so this could be a good opportunity for our Fijians to get all these legal documents ready, because not only would we need it, they might also want to go to the bank, and these are the generic legal requirements that are also needed from other institutions.
So there's a bit of advice there. Get those documents early. If you haven't registered for the National Register of Voters, do that, because that will also make things easier. You've also opened and progressively rolled out voter services centers across all 13 municipalities. If you can talk about that, please.
Yes, thank you, Vijay. Now, we had initially said that we'll open some and then we'll progress. But I'm glad to inform you now that for all the 13 municipalities, we have opened in those areas. And most of our centers, if it is not located on our office, for instance in Lautoka, it's located in our voter service center. We are located in the municipality offices as well. More of the address of these venues, please, we want to shift the traffic to our social media page, so please check out our social media, share it, and come in to register.
But you'll be having this information on the mainstream media
Yes,
as
we
well.
also will be releasing this to our mainstream traditional medias as well. Thank you, Vijay.
When does voter registration close
For the local government elections? Okay, the voter registration closes after the writ is issued. So the writ could be issued today, it closes tomorrow.
With the Constitution Review Commission, because definitely there's a lot of talk about the electoral system. And the electoral system that's being talked about is the electoral system for the general elections, whether we will still have the same system or people will be asking for different system. Now, this can cause a lot of confusion. What are you doing to ensure that people understand the differences?
In terms of understanding the differences between general election and local government election, the first step that we took is to color code our message and to have mascots assigned to these color codes. So for green, that is for the local government elections, and Leo, our local government electoral officer, will be the one that is disseminating their messages. Blue is for general election. Now, in terms of awareness to our Fijians, we've kept it in such a way that for municipality, we work with our stakeholders, and so we are working with the councils and also our media team, as well as the traditional media, just to have that targeted information for our municipalities, our local government electorates. For the general election, we will be having an event next month, Vijay, and this event is basically to set the scene for the awareness for the general election.
And you'll definitely do awareness in all languages so that people understand?
Yes. Good thing you mentioned that, because when we looked at our publication for the languages for the previous general election, we did tick the check-off box, but feedbacks from our Fijians, well, you printed in the Hindi language, most of us don't even read and understand it, and even with the other language as well. So we are working with our partners on that to make sure that the simple and the usable languages are printed.
Conversational language is the best way to get to people in terms of rather than the written text, which sometimes is difficult, as we understand, based on being in the communication business. One of the things is local government register. You'll have a separate register.
Yes.
So if people are registered, definitely if there's errors or movements from now until September, and we know registration will close after the day after the writ is issued, voters will be able to check that their details are correct on this register. Will there be enough time for that?
There will be enough time for our Fijians to check whether they have been registered in their preferred place, especially for local government elections. So the responsibility also comes for our Fijians who are coming in to register, to let us know of your habitual residential address. And if after you've registered you change your address, please feel free to come again, get it changed, because once the registration closes, we will be assigning our Fijians to the polling venue that is near to their residential address that's captured in the register of voters.
So no details or errors can be amended after registration closes?
After registration closes, just similar to the general election, registration won't take place after the writ is issued, but there is some leeway for update of your details, just like for the general election. But then again, please, because all of us know standing in line, especially at the very last minute, better have it accurate the first time you come around to register.
As at 31st December last year, you had a total number of registered voters for the general elections, that's on the National Register of Voters, equating to 707,982. Based on the register of the local government elections back in 2005, how many registered voters did you have in that elections?
In terms of the local government elections, it's good that you've mentioned it, because even before I came here, I was asking the team on the exact registered voters. Out there on publication is the voter turnout, but there seems to be no publication on the exact registered voters for local government elections in 2005. But it does indicate in terms of voter turnout, it was 30%.
Which is very low.
Is very low. But coming back to our registration, so when we opened last week for local government registration, we've managed to capture 897 Fijians that are wanting to participate in the local government election. And so I'm urging our Fijians, please make use of this opportunity while the lines are still less. Come in, get registered, because once the writ for the local government election is issued, registration closes.
You will also intensify your campaign apart from your social media platforms. We noticed that in 2022, your predecessor decided to go heavily on the FEO social media platform. Sometimes that may not be the answer. Or do you have further plans to effectively increase that?
For our general election, we do Vijay. We've learned our lesson. We cannot be working on this alone. We need our stakeholders. So we have started with our monthly briefings with our stakeholders, the political parties, the CSOs, our media, using this platform so that they can go and disseminate to their audience as well. Apart from that, on the 4th of May, please save the date, we will be having an FEO event. So this will be an event that is linked to our nationwide awareness for the general election. And so this is also a time where we will be sending out our teams for awareness on the general election, and as well as publications in terms of pocket guides, not only for the general but also for the local government election.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the Supervisor of Elections, Anna Mataiciwa, and we're talking about the local government elections and our state of preparedness, what is expected, what do you need to know. Now, under the new rules, Supervisor, all candidates, whether independent or party affiliated, must meet the eligibility criteria. Where does that eligibility criteria come from in terms of the law? And how does this work? What specifically also disqualifies a person from standing as a candidate for the local government election?
For the local government elections, in terms of candidate eligibility, we have the Local Government Act of 1972, and so it talks about the eligibility. And if we look at the law, it says that whoever is interested to become a candidate, they have to be a Fijian citizen only, registered on the local government register of voters. They are nominated for the ward that they reside in, live in the municipality within at least 1 year. They are not declared to have any criminal records which are similar to the general election. maximum penalty of a term of 12 months or more, then you're not eligible. Is not declared to have any bankruptcy associated to that person, and of course not an MP.
You cannot be a member of parliament.
Yes, you cannot be a member of parliament when you take part for local government elections or holding certain public office.
Now also for independent candidates, what is the eligibility?
Now for independent candidates, now the candidate eligibility is the one that I've mentioned. The next one would be, okay, then how do I come in to become a candidate? There's two ways. You can come in through a party. So we still have 8 registered parties. Or you can come in as an independent candidate. So for independent candidate, all you need to do is complete your nomination of independent candidate, have 8 registered voters that say yes, we agree to this person to become a candidate, and of course your fee of $200. So the fee of $200 it's across the board if you come in through the party.
Per candidate.
Yes.
And who are the 8 parties for the benefit of our viewers and listeners?
Okay, for the 8 parties, we have SODELPA, All People's Party, the People Alliance, We Unite Fiji Party, Fiji Labour Party, National Federation Party, Unity Fiji, and the recently, we just recently approved one, People First. And so those are the 8 registered parties as of to date.
And you have some other pending applications?
Yes, we do. We have one pending one, and that is the proposed Fijians First. So our Fijians will be able to know whether they are registered or not by the end of this month.
Wouldn't this cause a bit of confusion, the now deregistered Fiji First, then People's First, and Fijians First?
We have, when we did put up the publication for the proposed Fijian First, there's always an objection period. We received objections, so now for that application we are reviewing the objections that have been received, and decision from the Register of Political Parties will be made soon.
Which is you as well?
Yes.
So, Ratepayers Association, it used to be something that some of the people who were not part of the political party set up, they were part of the Ratepayers Association who would contest the local government elections in the past. That system can no longer be in place?
For Ratepayers Association, well, that was something that was practiced previously, but for now it is through independent nominations. So technically they could, but they need to put it in through an independent.
They can be a group of independents.
Yes.
Let's talk about the voting system, because the voting system is not the same as the one in the general elections. And of course the ballot paper will also be different. You won't have just numbers on the ballot paper. If you can, let's talk about the ballot paper first, in terms of the setting out of the ballot paper, because our current ballot paper just has numbers and people are just campaigning based on numbers. No political party symbols, no candidates' names. The other issue is about the voting system itself, which is totally different. If you can talk about that, please.
For local government election, we have the block vote method. That is basically our Fijians get to vote in the candidates according to the number of seats within that ward. So for instance, if we have 11 up for grab within a ward, then our Fijians have to tick 11 candidates. The ballot paper for local government election, we have the candidate photo, we have the candidate surname and first name, their symbol, and if they are from a political party or independent candidate. The Fijians are required to only tick the number of candidates according to the number of seats up for grabs in this ward. That is for local government. For the general election, we still have our ballot papers that would have the number unless there's amendment to the Electoral Act. If we look at the counting for our local government elections, it's first past the post counting, so the winner takes all according to their number of ticks.
The highest number of votes wins.
Yes.
Only tick, no circle,
Yes.
no cross.
Only tick for local government elections. For the general election, we've gone through past 3 general elections, so it's still the circle, tick or cross for general. For local, just a tick.
You also have a nomination period and objection period for candidates. This will also be interesting because anyone and everyone may want to be this set of elected councillors, and all reviews I see has to be done in 3 days. Will this be sufficient? And if you can explain the process of nomination and objections.
For nomination, once the writ is issued for the local government elections, it will have the period for nomination, and so our eligible candidates, they can come through a party or independent. We process it according to the candidate eligibility, and if there's any objection, we do publish it as well, the candidates list. If there's any objection from our Fijians to any of the 141 seats that will be there, but we are looking at the candidates at this stage. If there's any objection, our Fijians will have that right to object before we finalize the candidates for the local government election. And like you spoke of, in terms of the tight number of days that we need to process all this leading up to the appeal. Elections is made in such a way that we have to comply with the legal requirement. So for those instances, we are required to basically adhere to the law. And currently it says 3 days, that's for the general as well as for the local. And so it's just everyone needs to be committed to that process.
We just have to get it
We
done.
just have to get it.
Now, will there be pre-polling? Just like general elections as pre-polling, people have gotten used to it. Certain areas, they know they will vote before the actual polling day. What about the local government elections?
Interesting fact about elections, we have different legal jargons, but sometimes it means the same thing. For the general election, we look at pre-poll, that's happening 2 weeks prior to election date. Similar to local government, but then we are calling it early voting. So it's basically our Fijians, those that are approved of by the Electoral Commission, they can vote 14 days prior to election date. But the pre-poll venues will have to be approved by our Electoral Commission.
About postal ballots?
For postal, it is not available for local government elections, but it is still available for the general.
Now, what will happen on voting day? We know that any of the 4 Saturdays we've got, any one of them will be the voting day in September this year. What do we expect on that Saturday?
For that Saturday, first thing that we have to get right is the time, because we are so used to the 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the general election. But for the local government elections, it's from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So our Fijians will be required, those that are registered, will be required to visit their assigned polling station, which is going to be captured on their voter card. And on this note, Vijay, I just want to make it clear as well that we have one voter card for both elections. Once you come in to register, your voter card will have your updated polling venue for local government elections and your polling venue for general election. So it's just one voter card capturing the two polling venues. So our voters will be required to come in. Please do come in with your voter card on that day between 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. of any of the Saturdays. And it's the same process, Vijay, in terms of our voting. They come in, they meet the inside queue controller, they are given the instruction on how to vote. They go in, they meet their ID officer who will verify their details to confirm that they are actually on the voter list. They receive their ballot papers, go into the voting screen, tick the number of candidates that they are choosing, and then get inked, put the ballot paper inside the ballot box, and they are done for that Saturday.
After 4 p.m., definitely you will have the count. Let's talk about the count because we know there's a lot that's being said after the 2022 elections. The glitch, the app, and there's talk about we will not have the app anymore, but in this day and age, we need information to come out in a timely manner, in an efficient manner. What are you thinking of as far as the local government election count and results are concerned?
For the counting will take place at the polling station after it closes at 4 p.m. Or the last person in the queue at 4 p.m. has voted. So counting will take place at the various polling stations for the local government election, which is similar to the general. For the approved early voting, their ballot boxes will be counted at a centralized count center, which is only one count center that they will be counting the early voting. For the declaration of results, well, after counting, the usual process takes place. One of the protocol of results will be pasted at a reasonable accessible area at the polling station, and one will be on the inside the ballot box, and then one will be forwarded to the results center for the tabulation of results. We'll have a centralized results center. Although we are doing the processes 40 times at the different wards, when it comes to declaration of results, we want to centralize it. This is so that all our relevant stakeholders, say for instance the media, the political parties would want to know the answers, or even the independent, they know. They don't have to move around, they just have a place to go to. In terms of declaration of results, we will be declaring the results, final results, once it comes through. And at this stage, like you said, although there's no app for the general election, for the local government elections, we are not using any app as well, but we are hoping to work with our stakeholders that may have that mode of services available to them, that we could then partner with to, at least at the end of the day, get our results out to our local government.
So definitely there will be electronic versions.
Yes, we will be working with our partners, especially the media at that stage.
And are you looking at some sort of development of an electronic app, etc., for the general elections results?
For the general election results, there's already a Electoral Commission decision, no apps for the general election. But then it doesn't stop us from working with and partnering with our stakeholders who may have that modem to help us disseminate our official results.
There is an interesting situation now on how the centralized information can be taken out, because people will be waiting for it. So in terms of the awareness campaigns, you have definitely the general election awareness campaign rolling out from May 4th.
Yes.
and then you are hiring your officials at the moment, and with that in mind, that we can have general elections any date between 7th August to the 6th of February 2027. The last date for 6th of February, that means the last date to issue the writ of elections will be 24th December this year. And that will see 6th of February 2027 as the general election date. Just before you finish off, it's important to note that there's only 4 Saturdays for local government elections, and to track it backwards, you must have done your dates on when the Electoral Commission has to issue the writ of elections for the local government elections, just for the benefit of the viewers and listeners, because we know you've said the cut-off time or day for registration will be the day after the writ is issued. So what are those dates?
In terms of the writ, we are probably looking at the end of June to early July. That will be the possible issue of the writ. And so for Fijians listening in, please don't wait till the end of June or early July to be coming in for registration. Do come in whilst there's still a lot of time. And on that note as well, Vijay, our Electoral Commission will also have, they also have an event scheduled for the 25th of May. And they have some electoral announcements to that effect. But it is more to do with the general election. As you know, if you look at the law, it talks about campaign period happening a month before general election first possible writ date. So we have a lot of events that are coming up, and we are hoping to continue this relationship with our stakeholders so that we are channeling the information right up to our main stakeholders, which are the Fijians.
And it'll be a fluid situation because we have the constitution review process in place that's underway. There's word of amendments to the electoral laws, which is expected to change things as well. So that's a developing situation as well. But the local government elections, this has been confirmed. And as the supervisor has said, just before we finish off, any final word from you, Supervisor, to the people who are watching this around Fiji and around the world?
To our Fijians that are listening in, that are interested in the local government elections, and if you want to know if you are eligible for the local government elections, please visit our website. You check out our book map. Type in your informal settlement or your street or road name or your village name to check out if you are eligible to be registered. And if you found out that you have, then please feel free to come down, get registered, get the relevant document in place, which is the voter card, and come in to register. And not only register, but please participate in the local government election, because this is a chance for your voice to be heard at the local level.
As the Supervisor of Elections, Ana Mataiciwa, thank you very much on behalf of our listeners and viewers for coming on the show. And no doubt you will be back as things progress for both the local government elections and the general elections. We will continue to get the Supervisor of Elections on the show, and then eventually the political party candidates and the independent candidates who will be vying for seats, of course, after 21 years with the local government elections expected to be held any one of those Saturdays this September. Until the next fortnight, have a great evening.